Hi there, my name is Agona and today I want to talk with you about mental abuse. I first want to start by saying that I'm not gonna use any diagnosis. I am not a fan of such diagnosis because I just feel there is no reason to give someone a diagnosis. It is more important to find out why this happened and also how we can prevent such things to happen in our world. In my experience, I always saw a similar pattern. When I met people who later on would do such thing, they always started to kind of be my cheerleader or see me in a higher position than them. Even though I am not a fan of that and I do not enjoy such behavior towards me, they do it automatically and they always kind of praised me. Usually these are people who observe in the beginning a lot and don't tell much from themselves, which is not an indicator that someone is abusive. But if they later on in the relationship start to copy you and your words, your dreams, your thoughts, then you know this is a red flag. It kind of feels like they choose you, that you are such a special person that they want to be with you, right? They could have anyone or they have so many options, but they choose you. I am always careful when someone tells me, you are so special, you are so different to anyone. Because yes, I am. Everyone is different to everyone, okay? In the middle of such a relationship, they usually start to copy you and what you say and what you want for life, right? It almost feels like the universe brought the perfect match for you because they have the same goals, they have the same thinking, they are so similar to you. Slowly but surely, they try to isolate you. This often happens very unconscious. In my experience, it happened like this. When I went out with my friends and my significant other, after that meeting, always used to talk bad about the people we went out. Not specifically about the person themselves, but either in a way, have you seen how she looked at you? I think she's jealous of you. I think you should really be careful. They would never ever say that in front of the others. In fact, in front of the others, they're always very charming and very loving. But this is a very, very smart tactic to isolate people, to tell them that, you know, your circle is not good for you. Have you thought about it? Going deeper into such a relationship, they usually start to criticize everything you think, you say, and you do, especially the unconscious behavior of yours. They criticize the way you're walking, sitting, eating, small behaviors of yours that make you feel, whoa, I didn't know this is so disturbing, or I didn't know that I am doing such a wrong thing, because it is usually behavior in your subconscious that you have for so many years, and they point it out and make you question yourself and everything you do, you think, and you feel. Feeling is also a big point, which makes me very angry, because women naturally are very intuitive and they feel a lot of things. When your significant other or anyone in your circle criticizes your feelings, this is a big red flag, okay? Because your feelings are always right, okay? Your perception on what people say or do can be different than you thought, but your feelings are always right. Your body never makes mistakes, okay? If you want to talk about your feelings and the other person does not want to hear about that or minimizes that, Or in the worst case, they say your feelings are wrong. Big red flag. Please leave that situation as soon as possible, because in my opinion, this is such poor behavior and such, I'm sorry for my language, dumb behavior, because as a human being who has a little empathy, you know that it is more than important to listen to what the other wants to say to you, what the other feels about you or a certain circumstance. Usually these people also start to make fun about your achievements, make fun about your whole being, make fun about how you dress, like you always dressed, how you look, how you do you, right? They criticize your talents, they criticize almost everything you do, right? Often in a way that seems to be funny, right? One boundary I have in my life is that as soon as someone makes fun of me or someone else, I'm gonna cut this person out of my life. Because again, for me, this is such poor behavior and this is a behavior that is not accepted and shouldn't be accepted. Why do you have the need to make fun of others? Why? For people who are very intuitive and can see and feel certain things, as me, I often discovered that these people have a yellowish but also a gray aura. It really depends on the sun, but these people to me don't look like they have energy around them. It almost feels like they're dead inside. Now, I am personally very careful when I tell people who I attracted in my life or how a relationship went for me. I am never someone who blames the other person, because I know that it has always its reason why you attracted this person. Sometimes because something in you wants this experience. How bad this sounds, but it is true. It really comes down to your beliefs. For example, if you had a childhood in which one of your caregivers or both of them were abusive to you and you didn't do the inner healing for that, your body and your system learned that such behavior is normal, and that's why you keep attracting such people into your life. Everything you believe, you will attract because it is on the same energetic frequency as you. Although your beliefs play a big role in what you attract into your life, especially relationships, sometimes it is also an attack from other realms. And I know that many humans don't understand the spiritual realm or don't want to understand. I also don't know how important it is for humans to know a lot from other realms, because what I discovered, they get scared very, very easily, and I want to keep it as humanly possible, and I really don't want to scare you because you have no reason to be scared, okay? There are, I always say, creatures on this planet who have no soul, okay? These are, they call them NPCs, I like to call them byproducts. These are creatures that look like humans, but they've been programmed to achieve a certain goal and then disappear from Earth. These are usually people who have dead eyes. If you look them in their eyes, it just looks like they're dead. But they also don't have really feelings. They don't have a big history to tell. And if they do so, it doesn't feel accurate. You cannot relate with your feelings, right? Often these people have health conditions, and or they are very overweight or very underweight. I don't know how to describe it better than that, but I can immediately feel when a byproduct is in the near of me. But I discovered that especially a lot of beautiful women with a lot of energy who have beautiful missions here on earth will come across such men who in the beginning seem perfect, right? Everything is perfect. Everything. It feels like God sent it to you. God blessed you with him, right? And after a time, they get manipulated so well that they don't understand that they are in a horrible relationship. Sooner or later, they either get lost on their mission, they fail in their career, they lose their health, their beauty, whatever it is. In my opinion, these are attacks from other realms, from other creatures, entities, extraterrestrials, we can't say this word, right? Who try to stop this beautiful woman who has a big mission here on earth. So with that being said, please be always careful who you let in your life. One so important point to this is what I discovered is that first, they seem perfect in the beginning, and secondly, they usually want to move very fast. They want to see you every day, they want to pick you up from everywhere, they want to help you in any way they can. It seems like they don't have a life themselves. They really want to help you, right? But be careful with that. The men that I get to know who are in their masculine energy, who did their inner work, who are humans and have beautiful souls, these men never rush into a relationship because these men know how dangerous it can be for them to get too fast into a wrong relationship. So always be careful with people who want to rush things, who want to be with you all the time, who want to be your friend, your best friend immediately, who want to know everything about you. Please be careful with such people. Let's get into the beautiful part to this video. And I feel like my energy to this video is very low. I'm so sorry if you can feel that, but it is because I went through physical abuse as a child, which was horrible, but it gave me strength. You know, I'm not scared to fight someone. Multiple times I went through mental abuse in romantic relationships 2 times, and in friendships a lot of times. And even though it is my fault that I have allowed this, that I couldn't stand strong to myself, I always let other people decide for me. Since I've been a child, I knew that something is different with me. I had abilities that no one in my environment understood, and they often thought I was imagining things or lying or just imagining things in my mind, right? For the longest time, I thought I am crazy, right? I thought these gifts I have from God are not real. And this makes me so angry because at least be open to it, right? At least be open to listen to other people. That's why I said in the beginning we should stop making diagnoses, because it doesn't serve anyone to know that someone is bipolar or has ADHD. In fact, I don't believe in such diagnoses at all, because I also know that oftentimes these diagnoses are here to stop people, to dim down people and their energy. I really want to make this video about the mental abuse, but I feel like I have to say this. There is so much more to life than we know and we've been taught of. And it makes me very angry as soon as someone speaks about the other worlds, other planets, the spiritual realm, right, in general, that a lot of humans try to stop that and say these people are crazy. I'm gonna tell you, this knowledge I had it since I've been a child, and I don't believe that I have any mental diseases, right? In fact, the people who try to stop me, the people who try to to call me crazy, in my opinion, have to work on themselves. What I want to say with that is, please at least be open to listen, because it is important. Again, I don't think humans are made to know so much about the spiritual realm, but it only helps you. It raises your consciousness, which is so important for your frequency and the Earth's frequency, okay? As soon as someone laughs about my knowledge or the things I am saying, I immediately cut them off, because first, I don't have the energy, and I don't want to have the energy and time to prove you better, right? I don't care. If you don't want to believe, then go away from me, okay? I accept that you believe in other things. Why don't you accept that I have another belief? Why, as soon as someone speaks about these very important things, they shut them off, either on the platforms on social media or in real life? They get called crazy, right? One of the biggest signs that someone isn't intelligent, in my opinion, is that they're not open to receive new knowledge. With that being said, please at least be open, especially for this time. I promise we will experience human life again and be happy, but for now we have to get as much knowledge as possible just to raise our frequency, so that the entities that are here on this earth can disappear from here, and that such things as abuse stops. Also, I really want to say that these people who especially talk openly about the other entities, about what's going on Earth right now, about the spiritual realm, are so brave, and I really, from my heart, want to thank them, and also I want to thank myself, to be honest. And I really want humans to understand that it is not easy to speak about these things, because you get blocked from everywhere. But also, since I've been talking about these things, there are so many things happening in my life that are not funny at all, okay? It takes a lot of courage to talk about these things. And these people are not doing it to scare you, are not doing it because they want to get famous or they want to get your money or whatever. They want to help. They want to help humanity, and they want to help Earth, okay? That's the real reason. And I think we should be open and thankful for that. Okay, let's get back into the healing and how to prevent that such people cannot come anymore to you. First, I want to start by saying heal your wounds. Like I always say, it is so important to look deeper into yourself and what you have stored in your subconscious mind, what you experienced, and what kind of beliefs you then created out of it, right? I made a video where I talk about how to heal the wounds. I will link it down below so you can have the step-by-step on how to heal your wounds. How do you feel around this person? For me, when I am around such people, in fact, I can detect them like this immediately, and sometimes I even try to mock them. That's another story, but for me, I feel it in that way that my throat chakra gets blocked. Something tells me that I am not allowed to speak. Either they don't want to listen to me, or I always see it as my angels who tell me, don't tell too much. I can sense also the difference. I then also feel it in the solar plexus chakra, which is here for our confidence, and sometimes also in my sacral chakra and root chakra. Often in the sacral chakra, I feel when someone is trying to steal energy from me. And these are not humans who do such things, but I feel it immediately, and I immediately cut it and leave the room or the place I am. I don't want to be near such people. Also, to prevent such thing to happen, it is always important that you stay in contact with your family, that you stay in contact with your friends. And I really find it important that you have people to talk about, because the worst thing and the thing that happens the most is that these people get so isolated that they don't know what is good and healthy anymore. They think that this relationship and how this is working between them is something completely normal, right? I really find it important that you always stay in contact with other people and never lose the contact to the outer world. Also, be aware, do they have family and friends? Often these kind of people don't have a lot of friends or family, and although I don't believe that you have to have a whole city as your friends, but you will sense when they always talk badly about the people that are around them, or they tell even secrets about them. This is a big red flag. When they don't have friends around them, you know there's a reason why. There is always a reason why. Now let's get into the healing part, the most beautiful part of this theme. Talk about it with your friends and your family. I know sometimes you have to have enough time to process and reflect on these things that have happened to you on yourself, and I really find it important that you take your time for yourself, cry it out, scream it out, think as long as you need to think about it. You really need that time for yourself, but also it is very important to have a support system like family or friends, especially for your nervous system. Your whole system is in a survival mode when you are in such a relationship. For the health of your body and your nervous system, you have to unlearn what you learned during that relationship. With that being said, surround yourself with people who love you so that your body and your nervous system can learn trust again. It is very important to trust again in people, and that you're loved, that you are safe, that you don't have to survive. Therapy, a big point of it. Please always search someone who suits you, because I also had experiences where it didn't help at all, or they couldn't meet me where I have been. It doesn't always have to be someone with a certificate, honestly. I got my knowledge from coaches who didn't go to school for that. They just have it in their heart and they have it through experience. I also find it very important that you don't rush into the next relationship. What I often see is when, for example, a woman gets out of an abusive relationship, weeks later or months later, there is this kind and loving man who wants to heal everything from her, but usually is not her type or is not on her frequency, on her level. Please don't rush into relationships. You have to heal before you get into your new relationship, and you have to have the time to know what you want for your next relationship. You have to have the time to heal and to remember what you learned from that last relationship, what you want and what you don't want for your next relationship. One thing what I did, what is also not good, is that I tried to avoid healing my experience. And I know that God always wants the best for us. Sometimes He sends us certain experiences so that we start to heal when we don't want to heal. And this is what happened with me. I didn't want to heal that area because I also had other things to heal. But I thought to myself, I don't want a relationship. I don't care if I heal. I can heal that later when I want a relationship, right? But it doesn't work like that. You have to heal, what your heart is needing, not what your mind is thinking is right. So He sent me Mr. X. I already talked about him, which opened up my eyes so much. I learned so much through it. I was heartbroken after Mr. X, but it was so needed, because after that I started to heal and I realized that I don't want to heal through relationships. I want to do the inner healing by myself. You can choose. You can either heal with other people, which usually hurts more, or you heal by yourself. And I prefer to do it by myself because I also don't want to hurt other people. What I also find very important is to heal your body. I still have days where I realize my body needs healing, and sometimes it looks like crying and saying sorry to my body, saying sorry for every time I put my body into situations that it didn't want to be in. And I always hug myself and tell myself that now I'm here and I will protect you, and we are always protected and everything is okay. We are safe now. Now it is time to create your new identity and your new life. I get chills everywhere. I have a tattoo here, which is a rose. And for me, this rose represents that every time I saw a woman get out of a relationship, especially an abusive relationship, they opened up so much. They started to bloom. They started to glow again. And this is exactly what this rose represents for me. It's whenever you get out of such situations, you will start to bloom again. Find a new hobby, find new friends, start your own business. Your life force energy is now starting to come back and you can use it all for yourself. In my opinion, you should use it all for yourself until you feel ready for the next relationship. So use it in the right way. Use it in the way that fulfills your soul. Do the things that you always wanted to do but never did. Go on adventures, go on a trip, do whatever your soul is calling you to do. This is your time and you should use it only for you. To get back on your feet, to get back in your strength, and to start loving yourself again. If you have someone in your environment that you feel like maybe they're not that happy, maybe they need help, one of the signs that these people are going through mental abuse is that you can see it in their eyes. If you focus on the pupils, you will see that they have a scared look, a fearful look on them. But one thing that is very, very common is that they don't have an own opinion anymore. When they say something, they usually say, but I don't know if it's true, I don't know, this is just my opinion. No, I don't want to step over someone. They are always sorry for their opinion. Some days ago, I read something that really clicked for me. It said something like, you don't have your own opinion anymore. This is the last stage of slavery. And I know that very well because I have been in such a position where I didn't have my own opinion. I didn't trust my own opinion because I was so manipulated to believe something that can be true if you want so, but it's not true if you don't want to believe that, right? So I never had an opinion. I always said sorry if I had an opinion or if I had something to say, and I never spoke up for anything that I would if I'm being myself. These people are very deep into the manipulation. It is very hard for you as a friend or a relative to help them because they're usually very scared to tell the truth, what's been happening. What I find very helpful is to ask, are you okay? Is everything okay? You could also say that, hey, the last couple of months I discovered that you don't seem that happy anymore, or you changed. Is everything okay? And always make them clear that you're here for everything and at any time. Sometimes they're not ready yet to talk about it, but if they know when they are, they can come to you. this is such a beautiful feeling for them. So always make sure that give them the feeling, I don't want to rush anything, but if you have something to tell me, I'm here. I'm always here. And for the people who see that and feel addressed, or maybe realize that something is happening in their life that is not in their control anymore, I am sending you all my strength, and I want you to know that whatever has been told to you is not true. God is always here, and God will always make a way for you. God will always protect you. As soon as you start believing that God will hold you, when you start to trust Him, when you do this big step of leaving this behind you, you will see miracles, and you will start to see open doors that you never imagined before. I promise. There's always help for people like you. Especially God loves when you turn back to Him and give Him the control over your life. Thank you. Thank you for your time and your energy. Thank you if you stayed until here. I hope this video was helpful for you. If you have any questions or anything you want to add on, I would be so happy to read it in the comments. And if you want to learn more about everything God and the universe has to offer us, I would be so happy to see you in my next video. Bye.